Good morning, horror fans, and welcome to the first episode of this new series talking about folklore and horror tales. Today we are going to be discussing the tales of the Mothman. Now, this story begins on the 12th of November 1966, where five gravediggers were working late in a small cemetery near Clendenin, West Virginia. As they prepared for a burial site, one of the men noticed something moving above the tree line. It wasn't a bird, it wasn't a plane. What he described was something shaped like a man, but with enormous wings. Now, a quote from Kenneth Duggan went along the lines of, "We saw something that looked like a large brown man with wings. It flew straight over our heads." This brief, shocking encounter became the very first recorded sight of this creature and would soon haunt an entire region. It was 3 days later that the sighting that made headlines across America happened. Roger and Linda Scarberry, along with Steve and Mary Mallet, were driving near the abandoned TNT plant, an eerie World War II facility surrounded by forests, concrete igloos, and desert roads. It was here they saw a tall figure standing in the road, 7 feet tall, grey skin, wings folded against its back, and glowing red eyes that reflected like burning coals. Linda Scarsbury described it as just being the most horrific thing she had ever seen. 7 feet tall and eyes that were red, glowing red. Roger followed it up with, "It spread its wings and followed us. We were driving at over 100 and it stayed right with us. It didn't run, it lifted straight in the air like a helicopter," Steve Mallet exclaimed. The group sped away at over 100 miles an hour, but the creature soared above the car, matching them effortlessly. Now, the very next night, on the 16th of November 1966, Marcella Bennett was visiting the Walmsley home near the TNT site. When she stepped out of her car, she felt something was, watching her. She described it as a tall, grey figure, and the obvious glowing red eyes, the wings just hid back, tucked in behind the back. Couldn't describe it any other way, which matches the earlier descriptions by everybody else that has seen this Mothman creature, and people are just freaking out at this point. It's getting nationwide coverage and people are just freaking out, like, what is this thing? And it's honestly one of the strangest, if not the strangest, folklore tales I've ever come across. And even though there is tons more out there, it's like, how do you describe what it is? And how do you explain it? Because these things are weird, but it's always a bit of fun discussing them. It's so strange, especially with the collapsing of the Ohio Bridge that happened in 1967 because of this apparent Mothman creature. It's very strange, and there is probably some explanation for it, but it's always a bit of fun having a bit of those just crazy, weird explanations. But it's like quantum physics, isn't it? Some things just happen that you cannot explain in any way, shape, or form. Now, the real question is could the Mothman be put down to some experimental aircraft created by the armed forces, or just a governmental weird like scientific experiment, but who knows? Who knows really? Because it could be anything. Like, could be like just a massive hallucination. But if it was, then like, how could that have affected so many different people across? Even though it was in a small area, and they've not been seen since, so it could easily have been just experimental technology. Especially because it was the 60s, it could have just been like hallucinogenic drugs or anything like that, but who knows. But anyway, this is my video of the Mothman and my opinions on it, and I will see you next time.